Hello, folks. My name is Jocelyn Foy. I am coming to you with Crow Canyon Software. We're thrilled to have you with us today for our Modernize Your Business Processes with Office 365 and Teams webinar. We will be joined by Scott Restivo, who will be leading this webinar. And we have an area over to the right that if you have any questions, you are welcome to put them in. And we have James answering those questions for us at any time. In addition, if you have to leave or if you need to hear something again, we are happy to share the recording with you afterwards on our website and follow up through our team with Carolyn. So anyway, so let's get started. Crow Canyon Software, the creators of NITRO Studio, has been basically around for around 24 years. Scott Restivo started it, and we're lucky to have him here with us to go through these pieces in this awesome webinar about business process automation. He knows it the most. And so we're pleased to say that we are a Microsoft preferred business application, and we are currently a GSA contract in the California region, as well as a California certified small business. And so that provides the opportunity for us to work with certain folks specifically in the business world. So on that note, let me introduce Scott and just say enjoy this conversation. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to follow up with us. We are happy to show you our tools in depth with the demo. Okay, Scott.
Okay, thank you, Jocelyn. Thanks for the
Sure.
introduction.
Sure.
Yeah, build it up there, which is good because we're going to get into business process automation here, which is a big topic these days and quite a hot topic. And there's many ways to improve your business process automation. Like Jocelyn said, we've been doing this for over 20 years now, and we're working inside the Microsoft Office collaboration spaces, the Office 365. And also the SharePoint on-premises world and Teams are where we're focused primarily right now. So we'll go through some of business process automation, high-level view, and then go into the NITRO Studio, which is, as Jocelyn said, one of our products that we have, and I think you'll find it quite interesting as a forms and workflow and business process accelerator there. So let's go through that. First of all, I thought we should talk about why are we talking about business process automation. And it's probably obvious to a lot of people, but it's good to get this overview that here we are we're looking to save time and effort, streamlining processes, improving the employee experience, making the quicker responses, better services. We're reducing costs, more accountability, control over processes. I mean, all these things that are, the goodness. And I just want to point out that as part of this webinar that, this business process automation is to help your business be more successful, more profitable, or if you're a nonprofit or government, to provide better service to your members or your citizens, your clients, whatever. So it really has a very positive benefit. And the funny thing was, I just in the mail yesterday, I got this thing from American Express, and it's talked about 7 ways small businesses owners can cope with inflation. Now, it's not just small business, but any business can cope with inflation, because whether you're aware of this or not, it seems like inflation is happening, right? Like we're all not aware of the gas prices and all that. Anyway, so the first thing they list, and it struck this in this American Express piece of literature I got, streamline and automate processes. Right there, first one. Second one, third one, improve productivity. So I thought, wow, we're reading from the same playbook there. Streamline processes, improve productivity. That's how you can cope with whether it's an inflationary time or even just normal business times, because what we're doing here is talking about BPA equal not just business process automation, but business profit acceleration. Kind of play on words there, but it did fit into the BPA there. So we call it business profit acceleration. Reducing costs, streamlining operations, businesses see more productivity, less waste, and happier customers. And I was glad to get that validated from American Express of all places, but I know that from just experience that it works that way also. So let's get into it and see what we can do for your organization and how we can help you out with what we provide here at Crow Canyon Software. We're looking at other attempts, how people in the past, you're currently you may be trying to implement BPA, email and spreadsheets. We find that very common. People are still using email, they're still using spreadsheets. limited collaboration. You can't track and report it. It's hard to accountability. It becomes a mess. And I've talked to a lot of people even this week about how they're using Excel, for example, to keep track of assets, asset management. And it's worlds different when you go into our system versus using a spreadsheet, because now you have workflows, you have it's available to everybody. It's easy to notify notifications on updates, and expirations are coming due. I mean, it's just such a world of difference. And I don't see it's absolutely no reason to stay on the email and spreadsheets or paper forms or legacy systems or enterprise software. So paper forms obviously are a very inefficient way to do things. Sometimes, you have to shuffle paper around, but if you can avoid that at all and move it to an electronic process, it's going to help you enormously. Some people are on legacy systems, and that's quite common. Technology's been around quite some time, and people have stuff they're using from the 2000s or 10, 15 years ago. One of those being InfoPath forms, and we have a whole InfoPath replacement projects going on all over the place, where we're taking old legacy forms, where the InfoPath, Access, Lotus Notes, even if you remember that, and moving them over to modern processes on Office 365. And then we also encounter people who are using enterprise software, and it's just overkill for the size of the organization. So they were looking to move off it and reduce expenses. Another thing that I guess is on this American Express thing, it says cut expenses when and where possible. That's the number 4 on this list. And they're saying, to deal with inflation. And it makes a lot of sense, because why pay for big elaborate systems that you don't need? And we find a lot of times our Crocan software is what we call the Goldilocks solution. It's got enough functionality at the right price, and it runs in Office 365 with the single sign-on and all the capabilities that are there in Office 365, SharePoint, and Teams. So you're just leveraging and expanding a system you're already using to get better value out of it. It makes a lot of sense. So what we do here is we have several ways we work with the business process automation. There's our out-of-the-box applications. There's our NITRO Studio forms and workflow platform, and we have chatbots and apps for teams. And all these can be used, depending on your environment. Our products run in Office 365, the commercial, the GCC, which is the government cloud, and also the GCC High, which is the secure government cloud. We have military and defense contractors using it at that level. There's also we also run on SharePoint on premises, 2013, 2016, 2019, and what they call the SE edition, which is short for subscription edition. Instead of calling it 2022, I guess it would be 3 years after 2019, they're calling it the SE, meaning hello people, everything's going to be subscription from now on, is kind of where Microsoft's going with it. So not only is Office 365 a subscription, but it looks like SharePoint on premises will be a subscription if you move to the SE edition. So that's the modality they're working with, and that's where it's going, right? So, but anyways, we run on all those environments. We have a whole set of applications. Now, this webinar is not about our applications. We do webinars sometimes on individual applications or groups of applications. We have a whole series coming out this summer on our IT help desk. We've been doing a lot with asset management lately, work orders. These are the programs we have more or less out of the box. They do sometimes require some configuration and tweaking to fit your particular environment, but they are robust, ready to go applications used by many organizations around the world already. But we also have, the other focus we have here is on our NITRO Studio platform. NITRO Studio is a platform for building forms, workflows, business process solutions, whatever's needed to make the processes, get it off the paper forms, the emails and spreadsheets, the legacy systems, the enterprise software. And this is a case where someone will take it on their own to build their own, like a custom solution. It's a lot of fun. It's kind of custom developer, citizen developer kind of model. It's where you would come in and start, once you get up to speed on NITRO Studio, you can transform any process that is old legacy process going on there into this modern solution, whether on SharePoint on premises or the Office 365 world. And it really gives you a lot of flexibility for that. So just to delineate the two areas, once again, the business applications are like your common core business applications that we provide robust solutions for. They're well developed. They're all based on NITRO Studio, but we added a lot of our own special sauce, you might say, to make them into full-fledged applications. and we fully support them. And you can get an application. It's a site, a SharePoint site. It has Teams integration. It has Office 365 integration if you're in Office 365. And it runs in that one SharePoint site as an application. You can use it and pretty much ready to go out of the box. But the other story, which we're going to talk about today, is the NITRO Studio. It's two different things. It's like you go to a restaurant and you order the meal off the menu. That's our out-of-the-box applications. You get it fully ready. You might add a little salt and pepper, maybe some crackers to the soup or something. You tweak it a little bit to make it, ideally suited for your taste or your organization, in this case, for the application. And the other story is our NITRO Studio, and I think the way to describe that is like you go down to the store and you buy the ingredients and make your own meal. It's kind of like pre-made meals or make your own. And as you know, if you are making your own meal, you can be creative and make it the way you want or you need specifically for your organization. I mean, kind of mixing metaphors a little there, but I hope you get my point. And it isn't too silly a analogy, I don't think, because it is kind of true. You have out of the box ready to go, a little tweaking here and there, good to go. People use that all the time. But if you want to go in and make your own stuff, or you have particular circumstances where you are, we run into, what I'm saying is we run into many organizations that have very idiosyncratic or particular processes that are suited to their organization, and NITRO Studio can meet them all, can automate any kind of process there because you have the flexibility of building the form. So what we look to do is we look to kind of give it three principles here: engage, automate, and optimize. Engage, empower users with the UI, the UX, the customer experience, the EX, whatever acronyms they're using these days, but CX, EX, the whole idea of the experience of the user, the automation through workflows, and the reporting. And we'll dig into these in more depth today. Here's a little more detail on this, is that how we're engaging through our NITRO forms, our portals, our bots, AI elements that automate processes, email, text, the knowledge bases. We engage in that way with the user. So they have omni-channel support, many different ways of interacting, whatever is best suited for your organization, and also multiple. It might be some people sending in emails, other people working through the portal, some people are going with bots, some people with the back-end SharePoint forms. All that's possible at the same time within our application. The other middle tier here, or middle pillar, if you want to call that, is automation, and that's really, to me, the heart of the whole solution, where you can automate. And it's really amazing to me where you go look at our workflows or our custom actions in NITRO Studio, click a button, and bada bing, you can kick off any number of processes, and they can go into other processes and other processes. So you really can drive automation very significant to save that time, to increase productivity, lower costs, streamline operations through workflows, custom actions, approvals, integration with third-party systems, and much more. The automation is really a real critical part. We'll show you some of that in a few minutes here. And then the other part is optimizing and with reporting and analytics. You could call it analytics, where you get reports, dashboards, workspaces, graphs, tiles, and dials, and all those other elements that give you a real-time, a real-time view into your application and solution, and a historical view, so you can look back and say, what can we do to make this process better? You can identify where the process, through the data that's gained, through your reporting dashboards and information gained while you're working through the automation, the data result tells you, like, well, we had a lot of problems with this. It took us a long time to resolve that. What is the solution? Maybe users need better training and using. Maybe the procedures and processes need updating. Maybe your hardware or software is outdated and needs to be upgraded. And then you could drive a change request you could initiate a change request that drives a continuous cycle of improvement. And we see that all the time. It's one of the great values of our solutions, is not just the immediate taking care of the request and fulfilling it, getting it approved, etc., but also coming back and dialing back and driving a continuous cycle of improvement by being able to identify bottlenecks and where things are slowing down and maybe could be improved and lower cost. And when you have that data, right? Data is where it's at. So and here's some of the things we do specifically, a little more specific, again, a little more what are engaging and empower users, what are dynamic forms, our custom columns, so it's mobile friendly. We have application portals, we have branding capabilities, AI services like natural language processing, chatbots, knowledge bases. We automate and streamline processes with all our workflows and actions and approvals and alerts and automatic routing, database integration, email syncs, and we can optimize and drive improvement through the data analytics that come from the reports and dashboards. So it's quite a great process to jump in on, a great activity to engage in, and we hope that you'll get in touch with us. I mean, the show's not over, so hold on, but I do hope you'll get in touch with us and talk about your individual process. One of the things we find exciting, all of us here at the company, is talking to people about what their situation is and helping them solve their issues and problems and modernize. It's quite exciting and quite fun for us to be doing that. And we talk to people all over the country, all over the world, and it's really engaging, really interesting thing to be doing, finding out where businesses are at and how we can help them, and how they're using Office 365 and SharePoint, are trying to move business processes along. So thank you for joining us in this journey. We hope that we can help you with that in the way. So we'll get into showing you more of NITRO Studio now. I think I already mentioned all this, and that we run in Office 365 and SharePoint on premises. I'm going to belabor that. The marketing people put in some stuff about upcoming webinars and workshops. Well, we do have, we have monthly workshops run by James, sometimes twice a month. We have webinar series, and we go to shows. I was just up in Seattle last week. Last week for the Seattle EduCon, 365 EduCon there. We're gonna be going to some shows in the summer in Chicago in September. And we're engaged in the community. We're engaged. We have users, customers all over. We're close with Microsoft. Like Jocelyn said, we're a partner. We're a California certified small business. You're coming to the right place to find your solutions for this kind of thing. So let me get right into what we're doing with it, so there isn't just a bunch of talk about it, but actually can show you what we're going. So give me a moment to switch to the browser here, and I'll go over to a system and just kind of I thought there's many ways to show this. Really, what the best way is, to get on a one-on-one conversation and say, okay, we have a need for this, we have a need for that. Can you do this? Can you do that? There's some obscure process we want to optimize. There's some routine process we want to, and we deal with not only the technology issues. There's also the social issues of what we call institutional inertia. How do you get users who are used to a certain way of doing things to move over to modern solutions? It's not only the technology, it's the social aspect of things. So though having those discussions is really, really interesting and important, and we hope you will take the time to get in touch and let us know what you need and how maybe we can help out. Most likely, who knows. So this is an access request system that I've been just playing with for a number of demos over some period of time, and just having fun with, and trying out different things you can do with NITRO Studio, just to give kind of a flavor of what's going on. Now, again, I want to make the point here that this is just a sample. Our range of possibilities go way beyond access requests, and we can do any kind of request management. Common ones are like leave request and purchase request, and what else? Benefit change requests, things like that. Of course, we do the help desk with the trouble tickets and service desk, work orders. We do equipment and asset tracking. But this is just an access request system to give you kind of a flavor of what's going on. So I thought the best thing to do is actually run through a scenario, and you'll see how this business process automation kind of comes into play. I'm in Office 365 right now, because this could, well, except for the bot, I'm going to show you something with our NITRO bot that's not available in SharePoint on premises, but pretty much everything else is with this, because NITRO runs in both. So it runs through a scenario here with this access request system. This was built from just starting with a SharePoint list and adding different columns and maybe other lists that tie into it, and grew over time, but it was fairly easy to implement. It's all based on NITRO Studio, and of course the underlying Office 365, SharePoint, and Teams world too. So, but this is what's going on. So here's a list. You have a list of SharePoint lists. Of course, if you're familiar with SharePoint lists, you can have a zillion views here. Make any kind of view you want, group sort, however you want to do. You can come here and filter right then and there. So all that's nothing is obscured or precluded by using our applications or using our NITRO Studio. All the power of SharePoint that's natively in there and Office 365 are included along with our programs. So let's go through a scenario where someone is asking for permissions to a SQL server. Maybe that's a new employee or something. So need SQL permissions for new employee. That's easier there, right? Now, this is our NITRO form here. It's configurable in our NITRO Forms Designer. Just click to that for a second. Here's like a Forms Designer. You can come in and use all these capabilities to build this form. Quite easy, quite extensive capabilities, but quite easy to navigate around and do. And if anyone wants to go into a NITRO Studio Forms Designer or Workflow Designer, demo exactly to get into all the details of that, I can, or one of us can. But here's what's going on, some of the stuff that's going on. So now we have dynamic form. If we do add, it shows up a section where you're asking the person, do you want perpetual access, temporary access? If it's temporary, what dates do you want to set it to? And then when the date comes of ending the temporary access, there can be notifications that, hey, you need to revoke these rights or these permissions or extend them, so that all this is recorded and tracked and for audited purposes, who granted access to what, when, and why. So all that's underlying this program is all that power. But maybe you're just modifying it, so you don't need to put a start and end date, or maybe you revoke it. But we'll start with add here. And there's different things you could grant access to. Well, we have cascaded lookups right here. So you have different choices. And of course, all these choices are just in the back-end system. We're going to choose database. And then when you choose database, now watch right here between task and signature. When we go here, SQL, actually between requester and task, SQL shows up, an SQL tab. So again, part of the dynamic forms that are based on, on the fact that you only need to fill in the data, kind of theory that the user should only have to fill in the data that they need to and no more, right? So here we go. And who's this for? Well, the new employee's name is Pavan. And we know who his manager is because that's an Active Directory. All that information is pulled in from Active Directory. And by the way, the requester information is automatically filled from Active Directory also. So we know that I am logged in as admin account with all my information right here. And it is pulling that information in, but I'm making a request for this new employee called Pavan. And then since it's SQL, let's go over here and fill in information about this. So we'll call it like whatever your database server name. I'm just gonna make some stuff up like SQL1, the DB2, just obviously you'd have the right names there. Read, write, and who's the admin? Well, who's the DBA is James, right? So, you're filling that information in, and you can even make it so when the server or database are selected, the DBA is automatically selected, it depends on your organization, or it could be just default filled in all the time of who the SQL DBA is, just as an example of the possibilities with the forms. Yeah, you can add attachments, you can do other things here, but let's just go ahead and submit this thing. You will notice some of the formatting, the rounded corners, the blue, the buttons. These are all parts of designing the form in NITRO Studio to make it appealing to the eye and to the end user, and also so that it shows up well on a mobile device also. So let's go look at submit. This is a custom action. When I click that button, it's running one of our NITRO custom actions that we set up, and it's going to process the approval and fetch, whatever it needs to do here, whatever you set up in the back end. And now it's sitting here as not started, unassigned here. But the manager, James, who's the manager, he was the Pavan's manager, will get notified that there's been a new request. So I'll pull over this other browser that I'm using, ding, this other browser that is James, JR. The other one's CC for Crow Canyon, which is the admin account. But this one is JR for James. It's two different browsers. There you go. And he got a SQL request. It's just what we just said, right? Need SQL permission to employee. We're going to add. It's database 1, server 1, database 2, whatever. Read, write. And he can click here to look at the actual item inside of SharePoint. So this is the one way we're using our NITRO bot to facilitate automation. This could be run on a Teams mobile app, as well as desktop, tablet, whatever. And he has a choice here to approve or disapprove it, and he gets this notice. And this kind of same idea works for whether it's a purchase request or it's a leave request or any kind of request like that where it needs approval. The person can come in and approve it. So we'll go ahead and approve it and make some comment. Fine with me or whatever. I don't know, whatever. Some comment. And then the bot will do its work and say request was approved and run through the request workflow, right? So let's go look back at what's going on in our backend system now that James came in and approved it. And we refresh this screen. And it's been approved. It's been assigned. And the signed staff is James, right? Now, what happens here is James is also the DBA, so it's been assigned to him as the DBA to go do this. Well, it makes sense, doesn't it? It's been approved for this new employee by the manager, his manager, and now the message was sent to the DBA to go here and do the actual work. So he's more or less been assigned a task. You could make it a real task that he's been assigned or just a notification, depends what you want to do. But here we are back here. Here we go. He's got this notice in his email, his Outlook, James's Outlook. It says to James, and it also notifies Pavan, the employee, that he's got this notification that he has this, we've got to do this work of adding this guy to the read-write access to the database, right? Meanwhile, well, this guy over here got notified that his request was approved because he made the request. The admin made the request. See, this is all going on. This I want to show you that kind of how all this is just so easy to automate that if you're using paper or using Excel or something like this, emails, it's time for a change. Time for a change to what we're doing here in NITRO Studio for sure. Almost everybody we work with after they use our programs, they're like, why didn't I do this like months ago? It's just the way we are as people, right? We just want to stick with what we know. Devils we know and versus angels we haven't met, kind of thing. So this is automation, So let's look a little bit under the scenes to see what NITRO Studio is all about. So NITRO Studio for this access request system is right here. Now you can access it through either NITRO app or through the application administration right here, or well, it's not in that list, but normally it is. And then, or through NITRO Forms up here, custom actions. This is modern UI view. You can just go in and it'll access some of our components of NITRO Studio. But if you go to the back end, here it is right here in the access request system right here. So you have your forms, you have your workflows, your reports, your portal. All this is enhancing Office 365 to provide that business process automation power that you need and making it easy to do. We built this because we were building applications. We've been building applications since the 1990s, we started the company, I started in 1999. I was doing work in Silicon Valley before that, building applications. So it goes way back. But now we're doing it inside of SharePoint and Office 365. And to do it adequately within that environment, we had to build this NITRO Studio. And first we were using it just primarily for our applications as the underlying layer to provide the forms and workflows and capabilities that were insufficient inside of SharePoint and Office 365. And then we built it into a whole platform that people kept asking, hey, well, I'm interested in that underlying platform because I have all these forms and stuff I want to replace. And I said, well, so we put it together into a whole product, and Jocelyn, our designer, helped design these icons and everything. Pretty cool looking thing, don't you think? I don't know, nobody's answering because you're on mute, but hopefully you find it interesting to do. So let's look at what it is. So if I click the form designer, I'm gonna come up with our forms designer that we looked at momentarily before. We put all this together where you come in, you can design your tabs and what you want. This is what you saw in the item itself when I did the access request, right? And you can see there's other tabs, like Oracle only shows up when there's Oracle. Signature tabs are there if you want to sign it. You can do kind of cool looking forms like this where these buttons and all kinds of features and functionality like that. You can put tables in. I mean, it's all kinds of fun stuff you can do with our forms designer. And we got a lot of this when we were doing the InfoPath replacement projects starting about 5-6 years ago. And as people came to us and said, InfoPath can do that. Can you do it? And we're like, well, if we can't, we'll add it. So NITRO Studio really matured a lot over the last 3-4 years, given all those capabilities. And again, if any of you out there are saying, well, I need this in my form solution, we'll take on the challenge, and if we need to add it on to our NITRO Forms designer here. And we have ways you can add actions on. We have all kinds of settings and a lot of advanced, if you want to do custom JavaScript and CSS and those kind of things, you can get into that level if you want to. We also separated out, there's a choice of using one form for all three, you could call it presentations of, in a SharePoint, you have the new form, the edit form, display form. You can do one form for all three, or it's separated out if you want to. And in this case, it's separated out. So we'll look at the design, the display form. And the display form has a bunch of buttons at the top. So if I go back to Access Request System and open it up in display mode, you'll see those buttons at the top. And these are, examples of what can be done. So what do these actually do? This is the automation I'm talking about, that middle pier, the middle pillar, which is that when you press this one button, a lot of stuff can happen, whatever, something simple or something complex that really move your business process along. So one thing might be, well, let's escalate it because no one's taking care of this request. This could be something critical that you need to take care of, or time sensitive. Maybe you're doing it for a customer and the customer is like, hey, what's going on, guys? Where's my result? So this is, you can automatically escalate it. And what the escalation does is determined by what you put into the back end in our custom actions. I'll show you that in a moment. Assign to self, submit for approval, update due date, all these different things you can do. And you can have them up here at the top, or you can have them at buttons. We want to make it easy for you to automate your processes. So let's go look at our custom actions then and see what's going on. Here's the NITRO form. Here's the escalate button. And it's telling me that the custom action that's being used is escalate. So we can click here to open up it. I already have custom actions over here open. It'll open up the same thing. So let's just go here to custom actions and look at escalate. Escalate does this, whatever you defined it to do. Well, let's look what we defined it to do. We defined escalate, and this is quite easy for, quite easy to set up and quite easy to modify as needed. But this one does all these different things. Queries a list, it updates, it sets prior to high by updating the list item, it sends an email, it updates it does other updates here. And there's a whole series of actions that can be added. And this gets really interesting where you can go with this. It's a lot of interesting things you can do that really can serve just about any purpose you need to in the automation world. You can add a list item, update a list item, delete a list item, and this could be in any site collection, within any list within that site, or within the site collection, or within the tenant. You can upload a document, generate a document, send an email, send an SMS text. That's a great way to notify people lately. You can execute a JavaScript. You can invoke a web service, which is really wonderful for working with third-party REST APIs and things. We do a lot with integration using the web services. You can invoke a workflow, including old legacy SharePoint workflows, if they still exist, or Crow Canyon NITRO workflows, or Power Automate workflows. So you can, we can integrate with any of those. We can query a list to get a certain subset of information and then work on that list, return values. You can invoke a custom action, launch a URL, use Azure functions. We're adding in invoking PowerShell scripts. That's something that we're going to add anytime now. We have a partner we're working with on that. You can set a variable, and then in Teams, if you're in Office 365, you can create a channel. Like somebody creates a project, you create a project channel. Someone send a message, Teams message. If someone purchase request is approved, send a message to the purchasing team in Microsoft Teams. You can post an adaptive card, which are those cards you were looking at when he got the approval and said approve or had a choice to approve or disapprove that request. So that's a post-it adaptive card. All those are possible, not just one of them, but you can pile them together, make a whole stack of pancakes, pour some syrup over it. No, just kidding. But you can make a whole stack of actions going on that can be executed in sequence. Now, this is our legacy style designer. And I want to go back and show you, we came out with probably 6 months ago, this visual we're a visual workflow designer that is gives you a visual way to look at the, let me go over here and show you that, a visual workflow designer, which is the apps. Oh, there it is right there. So here's the visual workflow designer. That is another way of presenting those same kind of actions, the same actions, but now it's a much more visual way of doing it. And we have right here a gateway, we call it. So what happened when we did that access request, this is built for the access request, the approval status was changed. It was either changed to approved or denied based on James's decision in his in the form that we had here in his bot. He made a decision that approval or disapproval or not approved, whatever, can go here. It starts, that workflow starts, and then it branches one way or the other. If it's approved, it goes, assigns it to the DBA and sends a message notification to the DBA. And then it goes back and notifies the requester. If not approved, it also notifies the requester. And there's conditional formatting in here that says, it, looks at this and says which message to send or how to construct the template that we're going to send out. Then it posts a card to the requester to say that it's been approved. Now, I just added that to Blast. Did it do that or not? Maybe it didn't. Well, I just added that like 5 minutes before this webinar, so I didn't have time to troubleshoot it. But the point there is that you can post a card to the original requester, which is this guy right here, and have that come up anyway. So, this is all these things you can do. Then you could also add in more capabilities here with this visual workflow designer. So we have the visual forms designer, the visual workflow designer, which is used both for our workflows and our custom actions. People ask, what's the difference? What is the difference? Well, the difference is workflows run by automated processes such as system events or kicked off by a process internally. Custom actions are kicked off by someone pushing the button. They got to actually user initiated, we call it. So they have to go in and push the button to make it happen. So meanwhile, I'm talking about all this stuff about access requests and all the power of NITRO Studio underlying it. I think what the next thing to mention is that how do you, that's kind of like the middle tier, the middle pillar. We're talking about workflow, automate, streamline processes, but how do users actually engage? Well, there's many ways they could engage. They could go to the backend SharePoint and create a new one. We also have a portals. They can send in emails. They can send in a text. They can go to the bot, and if they're using the bot, and create a new. This bot's a little. Let's go to this bot, and maybe they want to do a new purchase. Is that working? Is that a command that's here? Let me see. They can do a new purchase and just work from the bot in that way on Teams or whatever, and then come in and make a new purchase request that way. So I want to give people all kinds of ways to initiate a request. This is empower and engage users side of things. And now what we also do in the help desk, and this is all part of NITRO Studio, is that you can come in here and let me see what's going on. Some people monkey around with this bot because it's a demo, so I hope it has all the power. Okay, here we go. So you can come in and search the KB first, and then give you a possible answer to your solution. That's a very valuable with bots because it could be the middle of the night on Saturday and you're wondering how to I don't know, fix the printer or something, or I don't know, got a problem, like you're trying to upgrade Windows and it's not working or something like that, right? I always do that at 2 in the morning, right? Anyway, so you can come here and search KB articles and try and find a solution there. Or you could just have them go directly submit an IT ticket. But it's all being done through here. Not only is the user engaging with this, but also the staff. The staff can come and say, I want to look at all unassigned tickets, and then pick one up. I want to view my assigned tickets. I mean, these are all commands that are just created in our NITRO bot configuration. Here's one I created recently called View Open Access Request. And it'll show you whatever parameters you have there for what is an open request, whether it's been unassigned or unapproved or whatever parameters you want to put in there, it doesn't really matter. You can show all the open ones. And if you go here, this is an adaptive card, a list view, and what information and icons is determined by how the bot configuration is. And you can click that, open it up, and you've got looking at that. Here it's looking at you, right? Here's looking at the SQL permissions for new employee request. Come on, bot, you got to be quicker than that. Hurry up, bot. The bot. I don't know. I end up talking to the bot. It's weird, isn't it? It's just a thing, but somehow bots are, you know, um, somehow you want to end up talking to them. And we're going to make different designs for here and different wording for that. What's going on, bot? Come on. You can't do this to me. Supposed to show a card of that. Maybe I didn't configure it right. I was kind of doing this at the last minute to show this new open request. Anyway, it's all part of our bot configuration in the back end. Here under NITRO Studio, we have many things more than what I just showed you about forms and workflows and actions. We have all these other capabilities, the branding, email and text sync, email manager, ID column, linked items, list formatting. I mean, we gave it the full enchilada here, We didn't hold back and built all this stuff, not only because it's cool to do and fun and challenging, and also, pretty awesome when you see it in action. It's actually really it's really cool. And the bot stuff is very exciting to be working on. And so if you're in the Office 365 world, you get AI services, bots, modern UI, and the Teams integration. And we're doing a lot more with Teams integration. So really trying to provide you a full range of business process automation possibilities. We have the out-of-the-box application, like say order from the menu, you get it, maybe tweak it a little bit. Then you also have the NITRO Studio, which we're looking at right here. And there's a lot to this this studio. There's the admin home and how you control it, and how you administer this, and you can create. If you get NITRO Studio, say for the tenant or farm, you can go ahead and create as many sites and workflows as you want. We don't limit that. And what happens is you could have like 50 different sites running different forms for different purposes. We have several customers like that. Maybe place 50 or 100 different InfoPath forms, and they want to develop the form. So they start with the NITRO form. They add on different capabilities, different features, and then they have they imitating the NITRO form. I mean the underlying form. Okay. Let's let me go over to our wherever the heck our here we go. Crow Canyon site is. Come on, Crow Canyon. And we can show you some of the forms showcase here. Forms and forms showcase. Anyway, so you can navigate through our site like this and find lots of good information. Under NITRO forms, power with the custom forms, all the capabilities. There was a form showcase we had at one time. Oh, here we are right here. So here is different kind of forms you can create. I was showing the forms designer. Johnson, I think there was a place where there was a form showcase, wasn't there? If you're still on.
There is a form showcase. I believe it, if you scroll down on that page, everybody.
Okay.
And
Oh, here it is, right here. Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Got to make that more obvious because it's kind of cool to see all the different kind of forms you can create. And we got to get a few more examples up here. But you can see that, James actually did this where he created, this is a NITRO form. It looks like exactly like the W4 form, but he created it. I think he did this just to kind of fool around, but here you go. This kind of thing. This is created with our NITRO forms designer, believe it or not. Pretty cool, huh? So then go back to here. It shows some other forms, more standard kind of form, right? But sometimes I show this because this is what's you have on paper, and according to government regulations or compliance regulations, you have to make it look as close to that as possible, So it depends on your situation and what your circumstances are. So I say sometimes the form has to be compliant or was created by a committee who decided that everything has to be in the right place. And we work with one government agency, and they just couldn't move anything anywhere else because they'd have to train all their users that this field is here now instead of there. Date of birth is over here instead of over here. I'm thinking, can't they just see that? But somehow it's with the training. They wanted it exactly to meet the format they had previously in the NITRO form designer. So I said, well, okay, whatever, whatever, we can do it. So we got all kinds of interesting forms, all kinds of fun stuff with signatures and all that. So we have a a lot of fun creating these things, and if you got involved with this, I'm sure you would too, with our forms designer. And then you add on all the other capabilities here, adding on workflows and custom actions. Then you get a whole capability. Now, another part of our NITRO Studio is reporting. Do we have reporting on this access request system? If not, I need to build it up as part of the demo, but I could show you in our IT help desk or other places. Here's one report centers right here. Let's see what we have going on there. We'll take a look. You have reports? I got a few. That's a little too basic. Let's go over to another site and show you more capable reporting possibilities that we have in our site. Let's go over to, like, say, one of our, I don't know, IT help desk site. Let's just see what that one looks like. This one's pretty cool too, because it shows you the bot analytics that we have. Not only the bot runs, but also has analytics, so you can drive that continuous cycle of improvement to come back and cycle back and improve, find out what questions people are asking, and then write up articles or refine the bot in order to make it work better. That's getting deep into the bot territory. And anybody's interested in the bot, I'd be glad to go into it. We've done a lot of work with this telemetry and dashboard and analytics. But anyways, it's trying to get to the report center and show you a more robust report center. And here you can see, like, obviously this has a lot more reports, and income and change requests by the month, all these different ways you can do it. So that's part of our NITRO Studio. Of course, some people opt to use Power BI because they're familiar with it and have a lot of experience with it, and they use them both together. Either way works. We're fine with that. But you get a lot of reports out of this, and a help desk. We also have a portal capability. Some people don't want to go to the back end SharePoint. They just want to go to a portal, and then they can submit a ticket through there. My tickets. This works. This is good on a mobile device, actually, because I think you could shrink this down and kind of get a sense of what it looks like on a smaller device. See, this is what it might look like on a everything's responsive, so this is what it could look like on a mobile device. Come in, submit a new ticket, or view tickets there on the mobile device, and then you can open it up and take a look at it. It kind of James has a good mobile emulator. He goes through some of these things. Did a workshop on mobile the other month or something. So here you go in, you can make changes and then edit and work on the mobile. And the way this is partly functions like this is that, let me expand it again, is that in our forms designer, we allow you to preview it in the different formats, whether it's desktop. You gotta choose which one I want to display, but there you go. If I'm designing it, think, well, I think that's a little scrunched up, so I might do something different. I might put some, different things you might do with that than that. So it gives you a way to design it for mobile right then and there in situ, instead of, kind of cool. All right, so I can go on and dig deeper and deeper into NITRO Studio and keep talking about how wonderful and amazing it is, and go into these different areas. There's a lot here. There's a lot more to this than I can show in just this one little webinar. I will show one other thing that I think is really good too. Just indulge me for a second here. I want to show the print manager, because printing and document management is also a big part of NITRO Studio. So you can go in here and print, and you can decide with using our templates what you want that printout to look like, and it could be better, well-designed printouts or reports and things that you can send. Let's see. And another one that you can do here that I was doing with this system is you can generate a document. The document comes up, access request certificate with a PDF, and it took that and actually attached it to this ticket. See, this certificate of access is now attached. So maybe you go through some certification process, and then you have this certificate of approval, a PDF or something going on based on what's in the ticket. So you see, that's pretty cool. It's just part of our custom action. You generate a document, attach it to you can attach it or send it to somebody, and it's based on the information in there. And being that this is a demo, it's a little wonky, this form, but we've done some stuff with HTML and other templates that look really amazing. Use Word templates, Excel templates, get really nice looking documents. And I should make a note to myself to really show that a little more better in our demo there. You can save the attachment. See, then that's what I was doing with this. Now I remember. You generate the document, then you can actually save the attachment to OneDrive. And just showing, I mean, all these things like work together so nicely and make it so business process automation, it's there. James, before I go on and on, any questions before we end the webinar?
Yeah, we had a couple of good questions about, one really great one is how do we, what would be some reasons for using NITRO versus Power Apps?
Okay, did you try and answer that, or you want
I
me
did,
to?
yeah. So essentially, I was the gist of it, and I could definitely expand a little more, but the gist of it is basically it has a lot of the same abilities as Power Apps, but it's much easier to use and much easier to build a form using NITRO Studio than it would be to build the same kind of form in Power Apps. And that's not just me talking, that's feedback from customers and people who've used both tools and come to us and said, your stuff's so much easier to use. It's not even funny. Like they love our NITRO Studio over Power Apps. And a lot of the functionality that we have that is there in Power Apps is also there in NITRO Studio. So there's a lot of external data connections, there's custom submit actions, there's the mobile interface you were just showing, there's and beyond that, I mean, the NITRO suite itself has a lot more in it than, Power Apps is Power Apps, but there's a lot more in NITRO Studio that you're not getting out of the box, not getting with the out of the box SharePoint or out of the box Microsoft tools like the print manager you're just showing, some of the web parts we can put on pages give you a lot more flexibility in how you can design a web page with NITRO versus SharePoint. So there's a lot more there than, it's not just a one-to-one comparison of Power Apps to NITRO Studio. You're getting a lot of features with NITRO Studio that give you a lot of power, a lot of flexibility to work within the SharePoint space, make it work for you, and friendly for your end users, friendly for your administrators to use. It's a pretty powerful tool in that.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. And the thing is, it's also we've done webinars on the cost and limitations of Power Platform. Of course, we're right there with Microsoft, and we know everything they're saying about promoting that. But the thing is, once you go beyond the standard seeded, what they call seeded, which means what you get with Office 365, you start going to premium connectors, you start going beyond their capabilities, the costs run up quite a bit. There's no question about it. And you have to take that into consideration, that it isn't free is not free. It's that there's quite a bit of cost. And we've done a lot of analysis of it. Even when they change the pricing of the Power Apps tool, they have that. And you got to think, like James just said, we have forms, which is equivalent to Power Apps. Could say the workflows, the reporting, and the bots. So we're covering all those areas that are in the Power Platform. But at the same time, like I was saying earlier, we don't necessarily obscure the ability to come in and invoke, say if you want to invoke a workflow, you can invoke a Power Automate. And there are times we use those for particular purposes because they have some third-party connections that we could build ourselves, or sometimes it's easier just to invoke a Power Automate to do it. So that is it's extensible in that way. That isn't, like I said earlier, we don't preclude the capabilities that are in natively SharePoint or in the Power Platform, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
That's right. It is a common question, though. We do get a lot, right, James?
Yeah, it is. Another question was, can we run NITRO job, or can NITRO run jobs in SQL?
Yeah, that's the Azure functions work that way, and also let me show you some of that in our forms. We have the external data columns. That's one way that you can connect to a SQL database. It's querying it more than running jobs. But also when we have the workflow designer, we can, let me get rid of this one because it's only so much space. Let's see, invoke Azure functions here, right? So that's one. This would run stored procedures and things like that, function settings. And if the person has that question, wants to go in more detail with our tech team, we can go into that. You can also invoke web services. And I can make that longer. Invoke the web service, and then the web service you can run, connect through. We do a lot with web services these days, and it looks a little obscure, but if you're familiar with this, you just run the REST API, and it's pretty straightforward, actually. I'm not going to save this. I don't know what I've added to it. Who knows? Anyway, so yeah. So what we want to do here before we end, is because it's coming to the top of the hour, is any one of you who are interested in this want to get in touch and do a one-on-one demo, we're more than ready. We, like I said, we're excited and interested to hear your situation and how we can help out and what we can do to move your business process automation, streamline operations, improve productivity. And what else they say here on the American Express thing? Oh, they're talking about all these companies that saved all kinds of money. We can give testimonials like that too. There's reducing expenses, all that, and that's what we're here to do. That's what we've been successfully doing through for over 20 years. Through the last major downturn in 2007, 2008, we came through that helping businesses. We help them in the good times and the bad times. So we're here for your we're here to help, and love hearing the stories, and we like to engage in what you're doing, find out what needs you have, and then we will go from there. And James, is there a little bit more questions or anything that we want to cover? Because I mean, I hate that, it's getting the top of hour, so I want to respect people's time, but if there's people want to stick on and hear some more questions, we can do that, or answers.
Yeah, I mean, there's a question about how you install it if you don't have access to the tenant app catalog, and the answer is that NITRO does actually work into the site collection app catalog. So if you a user in a SharePoint space that doesn't have access to your top level tenant app catalog, be assured if you have that site collection app catalog enabled for one or more of your site collections locally, we can work in that space.
Right. We work with all kinds of environments. We even have some hosted situations where we'll host the environment for you, though generally preferable to go into your Office 365 so you don't have extra logins and you have capability. We also, like I said, work in the GCC High. A lot of government going on these days. In California's certified small business. Still working a lot with California government, not just the state, but cities, counties, school districts, transportation authorities, irrigation districts, all that stuff, right? And we also have projects going in Australia. We have a group in India that helps us with development. We have offices on the West Coast and East Coast. Rhode Island, that's where James is right now. I'm out in California. So there's a lot going on here, and we hope that you can, get in touch and talk with us and find out more and learn more about it. We have a lot of resources on the web. And we really appreciate you coming to this webinar and taking the time out to hear our story and how we possibly could be of service and assistance to your drive digital transformation, business process automation, streamline operations. So thank you again. Thank you, James. Thank you, Jocelyn, for helping out. And we'll take off. And like Jocelyn said, there'll be a recording. We'll send a follow-up email. And anybody has any questions or anything that come to them later, send us an email. We'd be glad to help you out. Okay, I hope everyone has a good day. Thank you very much, and we'll talk to you soon. Hopefully talk to you soon, right? Okay, thanks. Bye-bye.